Hey, it's your pal Sully here. For the last bunch of months, I've been kind of critical of the concept of the A's moving to Las Vegas and as Las Vegas is a landing spot. But guess what? Today, we're bringing in someone who knows a little bit more about Las Vegas sports than me. That would be Tony Cordasco, the host of the Locked On Las Vegas Golden Knights show. Easy for you to say. This is Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB. Your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you don't believe me, there's my lower third. You can call me Sully. Happy St. Patrick's Day, my people, or at least some of my people. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And be sure to subscribe to us on the YouTubes as we're trying to get 1 billion subscribers. We're still several hundred million shy of that. Let's keep it going, folks. And you can tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On MLB, or check out some of the other great shows on the Locked On Podcast Network. Like, you know what? Not just baseball shows. I'm going to just pick one totally at random. Locked On Golden Knights, that happened to be hosted by our guest today, Tony Cordasco. How are you doing? Thanks for jumping on board a rare crossover, not only of podcasts, but of sports here on the Locked On Podcast Network.
Yeah, it sure is. Thanks, Sully. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to talking some baseball with you. I'm not just a hockey guy, don't put me in a corner. Okay, I do a little bit more than just hockey.
By the way, I'm totally a baseball guy. I mean, I don't think I can name 3 NFL players currently in the league right now. I pretty much only follow baseball. Although this was a great advertisement I had, or endorsement that I had for the Locked On Podcast Network. I was up in the Bay Area around Christmas time, and my friend Noelle and I were going to meet some friends, and she is an out of her mind San Jose Sharks fan, like crazy, like paints her nails teal kind of fan. And she gave us a ride to the arena, and she said, let's listen to a podcast to get ready for the game. And she put on Locked On Sharks, not putting 2 and 2 together that I do Locked On MLB. I said, this is part of my network. I said, really? Yeah. I said, it's your team every day. So you got the Sharks in there, and we saw the Sharks lose like one of the weirdest, heartbreaking games. They were playing the Flyers, and they let up a goal with less than 1 minute to go to tie the game, and they lost the game in like
the Sharks,
like 2 seconds into overtime. I think S.J. Sharkey may have still been on the ice by the time the Flyers got it. So there you go. Go Teal. Go Sharks. The window of opportunity is closed. Let's just honor Patrick Marleau. But you say you're more than a Vegas Knights man. What are your other sports loyalties? This may
goodness.
This may prove a point I may make a little later. But what are some of your other sports loyalties?
Everything. So I've lived here obviously for a long time, over now 44 years in Vegas.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And I just had my 44th birthday. And then I cover the Raiders for CBS Sports Radio. I'm on Odyssey Radio here in Las Vegas. I do a weekend show and special projects and all sorts of things, and just been in the media world for a long time. And, with the Oakland A's, the proposed move to Vegas, I mean, that's big news here. Right. So I follow all the big news. Super Bowl's coming next year in February. Formula One.
That's going to be huge.
Formula One is off the charts.
Yeah.
So the economic impact that they're projecting for the Super Bowl, $600 million. For Formula One, double, $1.2 billion with a B, $1 billion here. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That is great. And do you have a favorite baseball team? Like, did you have?
Yankees.
You're a Yankee fan, okay? Well,
Yeah.
the native New Englander in me, you probably figured out who my team is. My mother, who is listening to this show,
Mrs. Sully,
grew up a
Miss
huge Yankee
Mrs.
fan.
Sully, Mrs. Sully,
It's actually Dr. Sully.
Doctor Sully.
Dr. Sully.
Shout outs.
Um, but she is grew up a rabid Yankee fan in
Cool.
Bridgeport, Connecticut, when an Italian family where my grandfather would follow Yogi Berra everywhere he went. And a great regret in my life is he didn't live long enough to see when Yogi was a coach for the Astros to see if my grandpa Vioni would have been an Astros fan. But between Joe D and Phil Rizzuto and and Yogi Berra, and then now may he rest in peace, Joe Pepitone.
Oh man,
The
that one
Italian
hurt.
string for the Yankees went very, very deep.
That one really hurt. And Joe Pepitone, best known for bringing blow dryers into the locker room.
Yep.
Is that what we're going to remember Joe Pepitone for?
They're going to retire his. They're going to put his blow dryer in Monument Park.
Monument Park, which I read is becoming too corporate. They say now it's becoming way too corporate, whatever that means. But
now, are you still a Yankee fan to this day?
Oh yeah, I'm still a Yankee fan. Love to boo him. I just think Aaron Boone's not the guy. Okay,
Nope.
I'm just going to say it. He's
Nope.
not going to win games.
Nope.
He's too much into analytics. He doesn't connect with the players. So there you go.
I as a lifelong Red Sox fan, the day I found out that Cashman was being extended, they held a parade in Boston.
Brutal.
Look at I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Every year they say they have the pitching, and then the pitching, everyone's hurt before that first pitch on opening day.
Right.
It's done. It's depleted. It's over.
Well, okay. Before we get into our first break, however, we're almost inadvertently proving a point that I wanted to make here. And again, I'm saying this because I want to put all the cards on the table, and for listeners of the show, I'm going to give the floor to defend or to get me excited about Vegas as a possible landing spot to Tony. But it would be dishonest of me to have Tony aboard and not act like I haven't been critical of Las Vegas as a potential landing spot. So I got to be, open, and I actually think it's more productive if I start with, here are my misgivings. I'll just say, first of all, I mean, just personally, because I spend so much time in the San Francisco Bay Area where my mom lives and there's lots of families still up there. I love going to A's games. Just personally, I love the atmosphere of the A's because, it's only 13,000 there, but there are 13,000 rabid fans who love their team. And I love the atmosphere there. But I'm also objective enough to understand that Finley probably should never have moved the A's there to begin with. The Bay Area is not a two baseball team region, and they've always struggled to fit those two teams into the fan base. So I'm not blind to the idea of why they have to move. They've been talking about a new stadium forever. I don't believe the Howard Station Stadium. I've been hearing that for literally decades about a new ballpark. And they have to do something because they're going to have to expand pretty soon. And they have to figure out the issue with Oakland and Tampa because they can't expand and still have two issues. Okay. My issue with Vegas is a landing spot. I would rather they move to a place where it's fewer transplants and more of a deeply rooted population, which is why of the two cities I would have pointed to would have been either Portland or Nashville. I think both of them could support a major league team. I think both of them have that sort of generational roots of their sports fandom. And I remember forever and ever when I was growing up, people talked about Miami and its Phoenix as potential great spots for Major League Baseball. But as it turned out, those populations, which had booms, but they had people who were still loyal to whichever fan base they grew up on. You've lived in Las Vegas for 44 years. You still follow the New York Yankees. I haven't lived in Massachusetts since Ronald Reagan was president. And yet still, I'm proudly flying my Red Sox banner. And I see that for everyone who has been transplanted here or there. And I think hockey works because it's a niche sport. compared to baseball. It doesn't need to get the huge crowds. And they were also the first to represent Las Vegas. I saw that with the Sharks, the rabid popularity of the Sharks when San Jose finally had their own club. But I'm worried we're going to see Marlins 2.0 or Diamondbacks 2.0, where we saw these teams in these cities, which should be huge baseball cities, but there are more Yankee fans in Miami. There are more Cub fans in Phoenix. And so I'm worried that we're going to have a situation where so many things on paper look good for Las Vegas, but you may find that it's a city full of transplanted fan bases that may not equal the um the support that the team would need. So there you go. I put my cards on the table. That's my thought, and I'm going to give. We have to do break one. I'm going to give Tony break in segment 2 and 3. Tony is going to make the case of Las Vegas as a team, and I don't know. It may be a long shot. It may be a long shot that he'll be able to do it, but you know what? He's in Vegas, so he knows a little something about making bets. And if you're going to make any bets, may I recommend you go to FanDuel. FanDuel is the new betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are just starting March Madness. Fill out your brackets. Make all your bets. Right around the corner is the NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. We may see the Vegas Golden Knights take on who are they going to beat? Who are they going to beat the Stanley Cup Finals? Who's the top one in the East? Who's leading the East right now? I almost hell, let's just say the Bruins, just to make my friends in Boston happy. So if you're going to make any bets, go to Bet Online. Customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use. Then you can bet on anything from the money line, points scored, threes drained, and FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss out on the chance for your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we're back talking with Tony Cordasco of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. There, I've laid out my issues, okay? But you're in Vegas, you're excited, and you love your Golden Knights. Talk to me a little bit about if I'm wrong, about like if the A's could succeed and Major League Baseball could succeed in Las Vegas.
You know, I've gone back and forth, Sully, with this issue because I think, most of all, if they put a stadium near the Strip, the casino owners don't want people to be away from their property for 3+ hours, right?
Right.
And that's always been an issue here. Number one, that was the number one issue I had. The heat is another issue. Obviously, you put up a dome stadium and then everything would be much better. It would be fine. I think, again, with the success of the Golden Knights and the success of the Raiders, which are two different fan bases, I think it's proven to me that there could be a case to have Major League Baseball here. And I feel the A's are coming here. And I feel, as I've said in several interviews, that it's inevitable that they come here. I really do believe it now. I think, when you talk about the Golden Knights, you said there's a lack of a fan base. Well, the Golden Knights are primarily locals that support that team. And then with the Raiders, it's a destination team. And for several games, it's split the Niner game. The Niner game was probably, Niners-Raiders was probably, I'd say, at least 60-40 Niner fans there.
Right.
Because the Raiders kind of suck too.
Well, I'll just say that I think the NFL to me is a no-brainer in Las Vegas for a couple of reasons. There's obviously a tremendous amount of gambling with the line and everything. It's also much more of a national sport. Like if a team that has a huge national interest, if the Patriots or the Chiefs or some team like that are coming through Vegas, the casual sports fan is going to want to see that. And there's also, for fans in Oakland, it's not really been that much of a change because they'll watch it on TV, and the flight from Oakland to Las Vegas is really cheap and really fast. I mean, so I think football is a different animal, in terms of that.
But
Um,
hockey has a really good fan base, and
mhm,
we also have a AAA baseball team here,
right.
and they did the big league weekend a couple of weeks ago, and now the second big league weekend's coming in this week, and they're going to get probably 10,000 fans
Hmm.
there per game. And so they have a base already of baseball fans here, and that's out in the burbs. And I think that a lot of folks are going to support a baseball team here. Again, there are transplanted fans, but there are transplanted fans of all those teams that live in Las Vegas. And I still say that out of a 30,000 seat stadium, you could probably get 15 to 20 season ticket holders, thousand in the thousands. I
Do you think
really do believe that. And then all you have to do is fill it in with, again, it's a destination, and you fill it in with the visiting fans.
now? Do you think? And again, this shows my complete lack of knowledge of a lot of things of Las Vegas. The fan base that has been. I mean, look at the Knights' first season was a monumental success. They went to the freaking Stanley Cup Finals, and
They're all
so
bandwagon fans.
yeah, I mean,
If they
so
start losing, the place will be empty too.
yeah, that's what I was
Let's
going to
face it.
ask. I mean, like the first season, it was exhilarating. I mean, from afar watching it, it was exhilarating to watch them and getting into that Stanley Cup Finals and go, wow, are they going to win the cup their first freaking year? Now they came up a little short, but still, I mean, for the first year of having the fandom, there would have been excitement no matter what. And in the first year and the first major sports team to plant their flag in there, so they were the first team in into the gate. Sure, they're going to have success no matter what. Then they had the runaway success, and they're still an outstanding team this year, and they could very well go to the finals again. And and we could have a a Vegas dynasty and a Tampa Bay dynasty just to annoy everybody in Canada, just to avoid
For sure.
everybody in Canada who wait their whole life to see the cup.
Toronto will lose in the first series again.
Right,
Rite of
exactly.
passage. Yeah.
Just I look at I'm a big fan of that what I call generational events. That sort of I thought I'd never live to see blank. And I was in New York when the Rangers won the cup in 1994,
In
and that
94.
was that
And I'm
was
a
an
Ranger fan too. So
no, I'm sure. And I'm there's only one New York team that I dislike, and that I think you can figure out what team that is. But when you had that was the summer where you had both the Rangers and the Knicks in the finals at the same time, and that could have been the most exciting sporting summer I've ever seen in my life, being in Manhattan while that was happening. And the Rangers were a generational event. The Red Sox, obviously, Cleveland having any championship at all to speak of. And I just look at the people in Canada are like, just doesn't matter if it's the Flames, it's the Oilers, it's the Jets, the I almost said the Nordiques, but they don't exist anymore. The Canadiens, the Maple Leafs, just someone from Canada win a cup,
the
please.
Nordiques, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the Nordiques. I love that logo. But and of course they look up and go like, "Oh, great! You moved to Colorado. You start winning cup
Colorado.
after cup after cup. Good, good. Thanks for nothing."
Right.
Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to. But like, the point I'm making is that there's the fandom of the Golden Knights has to be almost graded on a curve. We almost have to wait for them to collapse to
Yeah. Oh no.
see how how what the
When
kind of fan base will be.
when they were struggling here earlier this season, yeah, the fans started bailing out, and the 18,000 fans per game was about 16 or 17, and then a lot of fans, a lot of my friends sold their tickets, obviously, to outer towners. But again, this is a destination, and
Hmm.
it's a convention business city too.
Yeah.
And so if they put it, so there's two places where they want to put the stadium, proposed stadium, the Tropicana Hotel Casino, that dinosaur of property there needs to be blown up and just do away with it. That would be amazing, though. We'd have three venues within 1 mile.
Yeah.
So it would be right across the street from T-Mobile Arena would be a baseball stadium, and then you've got Allegiant Stadium not far away. Within a mile, you can go to like sporting events out the wazoo. They want it when they first started talking about the A's moving here. They're like, let's move them to Henderson. Let's
Yeah.
move them to Summerlin where we've got the minor league team. No,
Yeah.
there's 44 million tourists that come into town on a yearly basis. They're just force feed them. They'll come in. They'll go to baseball. The city's changing like every day. It's not so much because people aren't gambling. They say as much as they used to on the table games and in the casino, but it's a different city now. It's a city of sports and entertainment. That's pretty much what it is at this juncture.
It's funny, like I haven't been to Vegas that often in my life. The very first time I went to Vegas, there's a reason I'm bringing this up here. Um, I was working on a sports TV show, and we went to Vegas because we were covering the Professional Bull Riders Championship that was held.
PBR.
That the PBR had a big sort of meet and greet thing at the Mandalay Bay,
Bay, right? Yeah.
right? And
I'm
then
guessing.
they had the actual PBR event at the Thomas and Mack Center.
Sure.
And I just remember I was the producer I was working on a TV show as a producer, and it was the first time I've ever been to Vegas. And so my only knowledge of Vegas is like what I'd see on TV, whether it was, Ocean's 11 or Casino or,
Right.
And things like that. So it was the first time I saw that the thing that people need to understand about Vegas is that basically it's less about, you're right, it's less about gambling and more about what do you like? Whatever you like. What kind of food do you like? What kind of entertainment do you like? What kind of who are you attracted to? What music do you want to listen to? We don't judge here. Whatever you like, we got it.
Sin City.
And but beyond just sin, it's almost fun city. So I saw all these people there for the bull riding, but like down the hallway there was like some like flamenco dancing thing going on also at the Mandalay Bay, and it was kind of like whatever you want, we got it. And it's funny that the second time, and the Thomas and Mack Center is a little bit away from the Strip, closer to the airport, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yeah, it's right down the road from the airport.
The first time I really stayed in Las Vegas, it was my wife and the TV show she was working on flew everyone out to Vegas, and they put everyone up in the Tropicana.
Oh, geez.
And it was kind of like, this one is interesting. But
That's got some history there, but it definitely needs to be imploded.
But the third one is, I think, really close to what you were saying. When I was working for a tech company, and they were at a convention center for this big tech convention that was going on, and they was part of a convention center was next to the MGM Grand, and they had me in this massive suite in the MGM Grand, and there was this flood of people coming through the convention, and by about 5:30, everyone was done, and I just started thinking about what you were saying, that if you had across the street from the MGM Grand, or near where I almost said the Flamingo, the Tropicana, if you had the opportunity of a baseball stadium there as something to be given to like the high rollers coming in, everything like that, you're right. There's always a PBR. There's always a tech convention. There's always something going on there. The tech convention I was at was there a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so there was always that flow of people coming through here. So yeah, I think you made a great point about that, especially if you place it at the right place. The Tropicana is close enough to the MGM Grand and the New York and all those places that it could be, walkable to everything else.
Yeah, and the Rio site isn't bad itself, except that hotel casino was just bought by a company called Dreamscape Properties. And so what they're doing, they're investing $650 million into cleaning up a very tired property. And if they do things the right way, you have a nice property that just feeds fans, from that property with 4,000 or 5,000 rooms there. And, that's a nice base to have. Also, right there, you can walk right over to the baseball stadium, watch a game, go back to the casino and have fun. It's just about the proximity too. You have to have it close to where all the people are staying. All the tourists that are coming into town. A 30,000 seat stadium would be just perfect for this city. $1 billion stadium would be great. And Allegiant Stadium, I know I might be getting a little bit off track, Sully. Allegiant Stadium.
This is all right on track. This is all right.
Okay,
on track.
so Allegiant Stadium was built $750 million of the over $1 billion that it cost to build Allegiant Stadium was due to hotel room tax money. And the people in this city were complaining like nobody's business. And I was like, be quiet. This is another convention area for the city of Las Vegas. And it doesn't come out of our pockets, which is even crazier. I'm not putting my tax dollars into that. Well, you're not. Hotel room tax, 0.08 cents per night goes to the stadium out of hotel rooms and room taxes to lower the age. And it's a venue here where you don't just do baseball. You know, you need to have like one of those multi-purpose facilities where you could do concerts and other things with 30,000 seats. It would be perfect. Would be perfect for this city. There's never enough entertainment here.
Well, look at it. For a lot of people, their idea of entertainment is baseball and the fantasy baseball and trying to figure out how to run their own team. And for me, the best way to do that is through the ultimate pro baseball GM app. I've got it on my phone. I don't know if there's an equivalent for this on hockey, but this is just
no. We need this for hockey.
Oh man, because I've been doing this sort of thing since I was playing with my baseball cards. My mom's listening to it. She remembers baseball cards strewn all over my floor, and I was intricately putting together teams. I was acting like the GM. I had made up team names. I had real team. I had everything like that. And the best way to do it, I have it right on my phone, the Ultimate Baseball GM. You can manage every strategic aspect of your team. My new team, my made up team, they're the Honolulu Waves. That's right. I'm going to put a team in Honolulu. How about that for travel? Come on, I love Hawaii. What do you want? It's just on my phone. Relax. Get every aspect of the team. Play through the season. Lead your team to glory. You can hire the coaching staffs, manage the team finances, scouting, drafting players, navigate your franchise through free agency, all the ups and downs of the season. It's a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable online. Play on the go. Play as you want. Play when you want to. Play when people think you're at work. Locked On MLB listeners will get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the App Store. So that's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. You know, the funny thing about what happened last year with the A's in Oakland is they officially were in Oakland longer than they were in Philadelphia. Because the minute I've read way too much about Charlie Finley. I've read several books about the history of the A's, and the A's have been rumored to go everywhere in creation. When they were in Kansas City, at one point they were rumored to move to Los Angeles. They were rumored to move to Louisville. They were rumored to move to Atlanta, Dallas. They land in Oakland. I dug up this old book that I had when I was a kid. This book called The Baseball All-Stars 1980. I had it.
Is that Richie Allen on the cover?
No, it's actually Pete Rose. It's actually Pete Rose.
Okay, I just saw the red helmet.
The Phillies. My favorite thing is
love that guy. That's my favorite player ever. So
boy, he'll be loved in Vegas.
Did you get Baseball Digest as a kid?
Oh, well, kidding me? I read every issue of Baseball Digest.
Every issue, same here. I love that.
Baseball Digest, Baseball America, Sporting News.
But Baseball Digest was just that small. It was just so digestible, like easy to read, right?
Oh, perfect.
Every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got the Bill Mazeroski Baseball Annual at the beginning of the year, which gave all the predictions. The reason I'm showing you this is they've given the previews to the each team. There you got the Rangers, you got the Twins. But when they got to the A's, it doesn't say the Oakland A's.
Is it a mule?
It just says the A's.
The A's.
Now the reason is the very first line of the preview says, "It matters not where the A's play, in Denver or Oakland, they're awful." And they were. This was before Billy Martin took them over. But when that book went to print, they weren't sure if the A's were going to play the 1980 season in Oakland or in Denver. And they were on the verge of moving to Denver. And they were at one point on the verge of moving to New Orleans, and on the verge of moving to Phoenix, and on the verge of moving across the bay to San Jose. So since they left Philadelphia, they've been rumored to go everywhere. So, they've been looking for that great new stadium since Connie Mack was running the team.
Yeah. Well, they're going to get a new stadium here. And
Yes.
Rob Manfred said that they don't have to pay the relocation fee.
Oh,
And
there
that
you go.
is key. And that's what, $1 billion to $2 billion from everything I've heard. So that's really very important. If the A's come here, they definitely need to build a winner, though, because if that organization comes here in its current state, it's not gonna work. Do you know? I got one for you, Sully. Last year, okay, we have the AAA franchise of the A's here in Las Vegas, the Aviators,
Right.
which I call the Triple A's. So, uh, do you know how many players they brought up from the Aviators last year? Take a wild guess.
I'm gonna say 15.
30.
Ha!
30. So you're watching a AAA baseball team in a major league city. That's got to stop. They have to fix that. If they come here, we want a winner. They're going to have to invest money. So if the city can help them out, if the state can help them out, Major League Baseball is doing away with the relocation fee. It's an absolute no-brainer here.
And I'll
And
tell you something.
and the same thing, just real
sorry.
fast though, Sully.
Yeah.
No, because like with Allegiant Stadium, over the 750 million, Mark Davis and the Raider organization, they paid for all the overages. So it just was an absolute no-brainer to me. And it's another facility that's bringing in $600 million for a Super Bowl here. It just makes all the sense in the world that it's another entertainment venue for our city.
Right. And of course, for me, who I have as I said, a huge soft spot in my heart for the A's. This was a team that made the playoffs in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2018, 2019, and 2020. They've had some very good teams recently, but they've not been able. And of course, they're playing one of the wealthiest parts of the country, and yet somehow they constantly are playing the nickel and dime game with the team, which is to my many A's fans, for my friends who are fans of the A's, it's to their absolute, they're pulling their hair out when they look and they see
30 minor leaguers from AAA. I mean, you might as well move that team here if that's what it's going to be anyway.
Right. Well,
who's your favorite A's player of all time? Gino Tannaccio?
I mean, it's probably Catfish Hunter is my favorite A's player in history. I mean, Ricky Henderson is the greatest Oakland A, or he's the greatest A of all time.
Unbelievable player.
I've been as for this book
Joe
project.
Rudy,
like everyone from those teams, whether it's Vida Blue, Fingers, Rudy Campaneris, the late Sal Bando, may he rest in peace, Reggie, Billy North.
how much fun was that team?
I mean,
one of the all-time.
they were a little bit before my time, but I'm writing a book about that the 72 postseason, and and I've been rewatching those games for the book project, and they're not only good players, they're just so much fun to watch.
The characters, right? Like absolute personalities.
Absolutely. Well, by the way, if you get me on the 1972 A's, Jag, we will be here for the next 10 hours. But one of my favorite details about that team is the fact that Raleigh Fingers, obviously the Hall of Fame closer, kind of one of the early superstar closers, and oftentimes would take multiple innings to close out a game. In his locker were pictures of his hero, and his hero was W.C. Fields. W.C. Fields.
Pepitone?
No. W.C. Fields.
That's awesome.
Comedian.
That's great.
They had all these pictures. He loved W.C. Fields.
That's random, right?
That's so random. And yet, when you listen to him and you think about the character of that team, it's like, all right. My second favorite detail about that was the A's clinched the pennant in 1972, the first time they went to the World Series since they were the Connie Mack A's. They clinched the pennant in a razor-thin series against the Detroit Tigers, led by Billy Martin. This was a series where Burt Campaneris threw the bat at LeGros, who was the reliever, because he knew Billy Martin was telling to throw at his feet.
To throw at him.
And here it is, World Series World Series bound A's, and a fight breaks out during the celebration. celebration. They were so contentious that even while they were celebrating the American League pennant, Vita Blue and Blue Modem got into a fight, into a fist fight,
That's
because
great.
Vita Blue had to bail out Blue Moon. Vita Blue had to come out of the bullpen to bail out Blue Moon
Blue Moon
Odom,
Odom.
and Vita Blue kept going to his neck like, "You choked, you choked." And then
Oh my gosh.
they went
And then
at it. It's like,
they
"You
started to
won the
brawl.
pennant." You won the pennant.
That's great.
But yeah, well, look at, hey, Tony, this was great. You and I had never met before we started recording this, but I'm really, really glad
Thanks, Sully. Yeah.
we came aboard here. Yeah,
It's
even though,
inevitable. They're moving here. It's inevitable.
it's
Give it
right.
up. You're going to have to
no,
come watch your team here. Okay.
I know they're moving. I
After
know they're
24,
moving.
done. Fini. And there's no way they could play in that facility up there.
Oh yeah.
If they build the Howard Terminal for them, $12 billion.
No,
They don't have the affordable housing they said they were going to have. They
no.
don't have, again, they have all these environmental issues. There's just too much muck there. They can't get through it. There's no way you could wade through all that. Unfortunately, I feel bad that we're stealing another one of your teams.
Well, look at, I mean, it's, I noticed when I said at the beginning, my desire to have the A's not move is purely selfish.
As a fan, I can't
and
blame you. Yeah.
but I know it's inevitable. I do think that Nashville and Portland could really support it.
They're not even in the picture. They're not in the picture. Come on, Sully. They're not in the picture.
All right, fine. All right, fine. Well, tell you what, you've turned me around to the point where
I'll buy the next buffet. I got the next buffet.
So okay, so when it's Vegas, Carolina in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and again every Canadian is bashing their head against the side of a maple tree, I will root for Vegas because of you, Tony. So there you
go. Rangers.
Good. All right, Tony, tell people where they can listen to your podcast.
Okay, we are at Locked On VGK, of course, on Twitter at Tony Dasco at Locked On VGK. And you also should subscribe because we're a few billion followers away, subscribers away from our quota, our number that they are so tough and difficult. And they tell us we've got goals and we can't hit that number. It is Locked On Golden Knights. That's our YouTube channel.
And by the way, thanks so much for making Locked On.
Sully, you're the best. Thanks, man.
Well, yeah, and thanks for making Locked On and be your first listen. For your second listen, make it Locked On Golden Knights. Your third listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Crossing the blue line over to hockey with Tony Cordasco of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. This has been your St. Patrick's Day episode. We got two guys who look Italian, one of them with an Irish name, celebrating our St. Patrick's Day here.
Thanks, goodbye.
Top of the morning to you. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.